How's it going, everybody? For today's beer review, we're going to be taking a look at Northcoast Brewing Company's Old Stock Ale 2014 release. So we're doing something pretty damn special for today's beer review. This is Old Stock Ale by Northcoast Brewing Company. Just for starts, I love Northcoast Brewing Company. They make some really awesome beers. Obviously, not to mention Old Rasputin. This is a very special, I think it's once a year brewed and released beer that they do. It is considered just an old ale, and this is the 2014 release. Now, I'm not sure of the exact date that it was released, but it could easily be close to 1 year with age on it. I don't really know. It could have been close to the new year, so we only have like a month or two. I'm not sure. What I am sure of is that it is a monstrous, massive behemoth of a beer. It comes in at 11.8% alcohol by volume, basically 12%. This is huge. You're going to be feeling this after you drink the bottle. You really only need to drink like one, and you're going to be really buzzed, if not lightly tipsy after it. There's not very much information on the bottle. All it says is that it's recommended to be drank out of a goblet or a tulip glass. And it just says the recommended serving temp is 60 degrees. That's pretty much room temperature. I have this with just the absolute most light chill you can possibly imagine on it. I wouldn't even call it chill. I would just say I pulled it out of like, a garage. Like, it's just like 2 degrees cooler than room temp right now. So I think it's right where it needs to be. I'm going to be drinking this out of what they recommend, my Duvel Snifter glass. So let's get the cap off of here and see what this is all about. I'm like super excited to try this because it has some really high marks online. I have a 4-pack of it, so if it's great, I have 3 left that I can set back and age for a special occasion. Straight out, the color is a nice kind of caramel brown, is what I would call that, but with tinges of orange too. I'm going to pour this pretty aggressively down the center. Seems to have a medium-low head potential. The bubbles in it are huge, so I can tell that the head is going to dissipate pretty much instantly. Holding this one up in the light, the color is really awesome. It's what I would call ruby red, but with light tinges of kind of like cognac brown and also caramel orange. Looks really awesome. As far as the smell goes, it's simple, but it's also very bold in the smell. It's got a ton of malt, like a whole lot of malt. There's a little bit of a nuttiness. Surprisingly, I'm not picking up on any traces of alcohol as far as the smell goes. And there's a little bit of sweetness to it that kind of intermingles with the malt and the nuttiness. So that's pretty much all I'm getting as far as smells go, which is to be expected because old ales are ales that are just real big on the malt and kind of like molasses sort of tastes. That's not to say that it's boring or bad. It's just very simple and bold. Lots of nuttiness, lots of malt, little bit of sweetness. Like you may get just a light touch of like a marzipan sort of sweetness in the smell. That's about all I'm getting. So let's give this a taste now and see what it's like. Very good. Very good. It kind of reminds me of a in-between point. I'm going to mention 2 beers here, and so if you've had both of these beers, then you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. It kind of reminds me of this mixture between Founder's Curmudgeon, which is an old ale also, but also Founder's Backwoods Bastard, which is kind of like a bourbon barrel ale. That is so good. It's got a ton of malt, a little bit of nuttiness, Definitely some marzipan in there. Perhaps some light touches of dark fruits like I think prune is something I'm getting a bit of. A little bit of caramel. It's actually quite complex the more you taste it. There's actually a little bit of chocolate there too, very faint. So super complex brew. You got to give it some time. Swish this one around your mouth, exhale, and you'll start to get all these crazy flavors. It's a lot more than meets the palate immediately. As far as a rating goes, I would have to give this like a 99 in the style. This is probably what I would consider an ideal or perfect old ale. As far as my own personal rating goes, I would give it a 100. Perfect 100 for me. They have managed to mask all the alcohol in the taste. It is not boozy. For 12%, that is mind-blowingly impressive. It's super hot and warming going down. Like my chest is like on fire right now, but in a good way. And the tastes are just crazy. Very rich. Prune, malt, marzipan, little touches of woody oakiness, vanilla, caramel. There might even be a little bourbon in there and a little bit of really faint, bittersweet, dark chocolate. This thing's all over the place, and it is delicious. That has been my review of Northcoast Brewing Company's Old Stock Ale. If you can find this, get it. It comes in 4-packs of these bottles. They make them in bombers too, I don't know. And I recommend setting them back. It's a pretty special beer, and I can just tell by the way it tastes that as it ages, it's going to get better and better and better. And with something with an ABV that high, you could probably age this thing up to 8 years at proper conditions and be fine with it. So yeah, just absolutely phenomenal. Great scores all around the board. Highly recommended. And as always, hope you join me for the next beer review.